Event Live. Obviously, you're joining in the in-event theater. We would like to thank in-event for sponsoring this fantastic stage. Their innovative platform is helping event professionals like yourself create truly remarkable experiences. Yes, I did not learn that out of the top of my head. But if you would like to have the best possible experience, please put on those beautiful, shiny, colorful headphones that are on the chair next to you, under you, above you, wherever you can find them. Please put them on because there's a lot of buzz going around. Obviously, we're getting very busy on this first day. So if you would like to hear everything that Nick is about to tell you on B2B marketing, specifically diving into LinkedIn ads and email marketing, you want to put on those headphones. If you have any questions during this event, during this session, or maybe you already have questions top of mind, make sure to scan the QR code or go to Pigeonhole directly and fill in the code. There you can ask any questions you have. You can also upvote questions that other people posted, so we know which ones are the most relevant for you specifically. And I will actually be asking them during this session, so don't wait all the way to the end. Put them in, and the moment there's a relevant question coming on, we'll put it into the conversation. Nick is a very flexible person in that regard, so
be kind.
we're looking forward to it. Obviously, you're wondering who's this guy talking in the microphone all the time. Well, my name is Marijn van Buren. I'm an event tech consultant, and I'm your host for today. I'll be asking the questions, but Nick will be doing the talking, most of it at least. As I said, about business-to-business marketing and making the most out of your LinkedIn campaigns and email marketing. I'm looking very much forward to it. Nick, the floor is all yours.
Thanks, Marion. And if there's some really tough questions, I'm going to lean on you. I'd be like, right, what's the answer to this one? Thanks, everyone, for coming along. You can see the slides. You can hear me all right. You look great with the headphones on. Don't be shy. We're going to talk about B2B marketing, specifically around LinkedIn ads and email campaigns. There's going to be a bit of bread and butter in here. It's going to be a bit of the basics, but we're also going to dive into a bit of detail on some of the things you may not know and some tricks you can use to save yourselves time and fundamentally to save yourselves a bit of money, because we know LinkedIn is an expensive advertising platform. It's great, but it's really expensive. We use it, and sometimes I have to close my eyes before I press the bid button. Out of interest, who here uses LinkedIn to advertise their events, their business, whatever it is you do? Yeah, okay, a lot of people. Okay, you're in the right place. So just to give you a sense of who we are, we aren't going to talk about LinkedIn, but why are we talking about this? We're an events platform, and we often sell registration solutions and email solutions to people, and we come across the same problems all the time. So what I'm trying to do is give you guys some tips, the kind of common questions that, or common problems that our customers kind of come to us with, which hopefully puts you in a really good place to do better and, again, save a bit of money on your campaigns. We work with loads of big brands, and we've got lots of G2 badges, which is like candy. Got to catch them all. I do love the G2 badges. But what are you actually going to learn in this talk, aside from me talking about Gather? We're going to give you some tools you can use today. Going to give you some good insight into how to use LinkedIn better and emails better. You're going to become great at LinkedIn. You're going to go back to the office and say, I know everything there is to know. It's going to be great. Don't worry, by the way, at the end of the presentation, there is a link to download all the slides so you can take it home and you can digest it, repurpose it, whatever you like. We'll share that. You're going to understand, hopefully, email deliverability, which is obviously a big pain point. Email is a necessary evil. We all have to use it, and sometimes it can be really painful, and you don't know why it's not getting there. So it's really good to know. We're all going to get smarter, maybe, I hope so, and hopefully save a bit of money at the same time. Disclaimers, though. Again, LinkedIn is expensive, but we're going to be trying to save you guys money. We're not going to be telling you to do this and do that and do the other. I think if you asked your LinkedIn customer success associate, they might tell you, I think what you need to do is actually create 3 more campaigns. And at the end of a call, you're like, this was a great call. And then you look and you're like, oh my God, I'm spending twice as much now. What's happened? So we're going to be doing the opposite. We're going to be saving you money. And a disclaimer, a lot of this is about building good data sets, right? Anyone can get good data, but there are no shortcuts. There's a couple of shortcuts, which we'll talk about, but there's no real shortcuts. There is a bit of time involved in getting some good data, good audiences, and good lists up the front end to make sure that you're really maximizing the potential of your campaigns. So first of all, the basics, because I'm not sure how much everyone knows about using LinkedIn. There's going to be some pros in here. There's going to be some people who are like, I knew this stuff already. But hopefully there's some people who are brand new to it, have tried it a bit, and I'm not sure. So what we want to do is look at first how auctions work on LinkedIn. So every time you log into the LinkedIn page and go to your home screen, you're going to see some ads pop up. There's an instantaneous auction that's taking place there. So they're instantaneously looking at your profile, looking at your demographics, your information, what you tend to click on, or your likes and interests. And they're looking at all the ads people are trying to target, and they're saying, right, these are the best ones. We're going to show these to this person. So how does that system work? Because understanding it can really help you save money and maximize the value in what you're actually bidding on, which leads to more efficient media buying. So the formula is simple-ish. Your rank, how likely you are to get your ad shown, is a function of your bid value and your relevancy score. So bid value is the amount of pounds or dollars or euros you're putting into the box, and the relevancy score is the magic that happens underneath. So this is a combination of what LinkedIn thinks the expected click-through rate on that ad is going to be. So they use a bit of historical data from your campaigns, they use a bit of historical data from similar companies and how their campaigns are running. It's also going to look at the click frequency prediction. So again, scraping lots of data on all the historical performance of your ads and that sort of thing. Then it's also going to look at your landing page performance. So when you create a campaign and you've got an ad and you're saying, right, I want to send people to this website, LinkedIn is looking at that website and it's looking at your page and it's assessing it and it's wondering how good it is compared to all the other landing pages out there. Maybe you don't even have a landing page, maybe it's just going to the homepage of your website. Tip number one, get a landing page. For all of your campaigns, there should be a unique landing page because you can really improve the click-through rates based on that. That relevancy score ranges from 1 to 10. What kind of metrics are they looking for on your landing page specifically? It's got to be fast. They're looking at load speeds under half a second, that sort of thing, to be in the top tier of the market. It's got to be responsive, so it's got to look great on mobile as well as on desktop. A lot of LinkedIn users are scrolling on their phone. I do it, we all do it. I do it maybe a bit too often, sometimes in my free time, which is really sad. But they're really good at making it clickable, right? It's got to be relevant to the search intent. So people are searching in the LinkedIn search box, they're putting a term in there, maybe they're looking for great event platforms, and your content on your page has got to be really geared towards that. So if you want your ad to show up, you've got to have somewhere in the page stuff about event platforms and how great you guys are. Then it's going to be relevant to the keywords and the ad content itself. So in your ad, you've got imagery, you've got copy, you might have some hashtags in there. So again, make sure your landing page aligns with the ad. And this is why it's important to really tailor the landing pages to the ads you're specifically doing, right? So this is the learning to walk part, right? It's straightforward, but it's important to get right. And also, they want to make sure your page is secure. Please make sure it's secure. Put an SSL certificate on there. If you don't have one, no one's seeing your page. No one's going on it. So we're going to do a bit of a practical demonstration. We've got Tim, Sue, and Bill. They're all putting bids on. Tim's put a massive £12 bill on his ad. That means he's willing to pay £12 every time someone clicks on that ad, which seems like a lot, but that's LinkedIn. Sue, a bit more conservative. She's like, I'm going to spend £8 per bid. Bill, £4 per bid. So logically, you'd think that Tim's going to win, but no. Next, LinkedIn looks at the relevancy, and he's actually found out that Tim's relevancy is lower. He's got a 4 out of 10. Sue's got a really high relevancy, so the search terms are really aligning with her ad content and her landing page content. And then Bill's not in the running. He's not going to get anywhere with this one. So again, you look at that and you're like, okay, well, Tim bid more, but Sue's got more relevancy. Who's going to win this? Well, they actually combine their scores, so 12 times 4, 8 times 9, 4 times 3, and that gives you a combined score. So you can see that Sue is well in the lead there. She wins, but how much does she pay? Does she pay £8? Does she pay £12? How does it work? Well, actually, she pays £5.34. So why? Why does she pay £5.34? Because they actually use a second price auction. So the person who bids in second place, you pay a penny over their rate. So you take the combined score of Tim, the 48, you divide it by your relevancy, and that gives you the winning bid. And that, it seems to work in our favor, but oftentimes it can work in LinkedIn's favor too. So it's an interesting one. But £5.34 is the final bid price. So if you're wondering, like, why is my £8 bid only costing this much? I don't understand. Hopefully that shone a little bit of light onto the auction, how it works, what factors they take into consideration, and everything that's going on behind the scenes in the murky world of LinkedIn. This changes often, so maybe next week it'll be different, but for now, that's how it works. So the next thing you can do on your campaign, apart from the bid and making sure your bid is well targeted, is looking at the objective. For the sake of this session, we're going to assume everyone is just going to look at website visits. When you're looking at the relevancy score and how much LinkedIn thinks your outcome is going to be completed, then website visits is an easy win, right? Because the likelihood of someone clicking your ad to go to your website is a lot higher than, say, someone clicking your ad to go to the website and then filling in a form and submitting a contact request. So naturally the relevancy is going to be a lot higher and LinkedIn's going to prioritize your ads. So for most cases, website visits is an easy way to lower your bid cost because your relevancy is going to be a lot higher compared to the amount you're bidding. Of course, it's not to say that the other conversion statistics aren't good, but by and large, if you want to save a bit of cash, then just do website visits. It's a sure win. So how do you get the bid rate down beyond that? So we now know, okay, it's going to be relevant. I'm going to work on my landing pages. I'm going to really refine the copy. I'm going to look at, the search terms people are likely to do. I'm going to do a lot of research there, but I'm still spending too much. My LinkedIn bill is off the charts, and I'm actually losing out because I'm maximizing my budget in the first 5 days of the month. So the rest of the 25 days of the month, I've spent everything, and so I've got nothing left. So part one, the actual start of the talk, is about building good audiences. So an audience in LinkedIn is basically a list of people you are pushing your ads towards or you're targeting your ads towards. And so typically in the basic usage of LinkedIn, you would look at the campaign manager and you'd say, right, I want to look at people in this industry, in this kind of size company, in this location geographically, maybe you're targeting UK, US, and they give you these broad filters that you can use to actually narrow down your audience. And you'll see the number on the right changing and you'll say, oh, wow, it's going to go to 5 million people, that's great. Or you might be like, wow, there's only 10,000 people in this audience. Is that good? Is it bad? We don't know. We don't know who those people are, right? But what we can do then is actually work out the job titles. So work out who your main ICP is, your ideal customer profile. What kind of jobs do they have? Are they buying tech? Are they buying event space? Are they buying products at your trade shows? What is it they're doing? So, are they in procurement? Find out who the immediate people are. But don't stop there because obviously, as we know in sales, to get good sales data and to get good contact with a company, you need to multi-thread. So you need to target people who are associated with that decision too. So in our case, as an event tech company, we would target event managers, but we might also target marketing people. And we might also target IT people who are involved in the decision process of buying that technology. So that's the multi-threaded approach. So don't just limit yourself to the most obvious, because they're the ones who are going to get targeted the most as well. Also consider the ones around the outsides. Look at LinkedIn company pages, look at all the activity on your competitor events, your competitors' products, look at the comments, get those names down in your CRM, make sure you build those into your lists. It's free, takes a bit of time, I did say there was not many shortcuts, but it's important. And then look at the hashtags, what people posting under those hashtags, scrape those names, scrape that data, look at attendee lists from similar events. You don't need to buy those lists. Often they're publicly available online. So if you see the 1,000 emails that come in about Event Tech Live attendee lists, you can just download it. You don't need to buy it. So please don't. Then you want to look at, okay, what kind of category of company are you looking at? So you can build lists of categories of companies. And you can look at even more event-specific targeting tips, like looking at specific job roles. So you've got a job title, but you also have associated job roles on LinkedIn. So you can really dig deep into the data. All of this to say that firmographic data comes together to build quality lists. Don't just rely on the basic filtering. Do a bit of legwork, spend a couple of hours, pull together more data, and pump that through. And obviously, everyone here hopefully has a CRM. You know who your existing customers are, so you can use a lot of that information to broaden out your search. There are other search tools. You can use Zoom Info. You can use all sorts of third-party tools. You can get lead forensics on your site to see who's actually clicking and visiting. And you can scrape all that information as well and build it into those lists. And that will end up with, hopefully, a really good set of data. Now, the next step is to validate it. Okay, I've got all these names. I've got all these people I'm targeting. Like, actually, how good is it? You know, like we said earlier, is 50K too much? Is it too little? By and large, depending on the product and depending on your market, but I'm going to talk about events now. You know, if your audience size for your event is less than 50K when you're advertising, it's going to be a really expensive campaign to run because you want to reach more people to get a higher click-through rate or overall compared to the amount of time you're running this campaign for, right? That said, there is an upper limit as well. If you're suddenly building an audience and it's got 500,000 people in it, that's too big. You know, it's too broad, and it's going to be a lot of wasted money because a lot of the clicks aren't going to convert, and the time you're running a campaign, you're not going to get seen as much because your individual bids are going to be too small. So be careful about the audience size. You can use built-in LinkedIn tools like the Audience Insights to verify, and again, look at your CRM data. Are they already customers? Then make sure you're not actually targeting those people again because you're just wasting money at that stage. So then there's some extra things you can do. You can look at competitors, vendors, company age, look at language preferences. Are my ads in English and my audience are French? You know, just be careful about the detail as you go through. And it's good to tailor as much as possible. So, you know, multiple campaigns, multiple regions makes much more sense than one English language campaign for everyone you're trying to target. So we've got a great list now of people. We think it's really good. But how do I go further? How do I do better? What we want to try and do is use a retargeting audience. So who here uses retargeting? A couple of people, yeah, some nods, some blinks, yeah, okay, cool. So retargeting is great. This is basically the idea that, you know, if someone's clicked on your content, so if they've clicked on a post, if they've watched a video, if they've visited your website, then there's already a bit of intent around there. And we know from earlier that the bid system in the auction from LinkedIn looks at the likelihood they're going to click your stuff. So if you already know they've clicked something in the past, the likelihood is going to be much higher, so your score is going to be much higher, so your bid is going to be lower. So the retargeting audiences are much cheaper, and we're going to show you some examples of how much cheaper they can be to market to. And there's lots of built-in tools in LinkedIn to build these retargeting lists. You can see who's engaged with your event posts, who's watched what percentage of your video ads, who's looked at your reg pages, and you can also use the LinkedIn Insights tag, put it on your website or your landing pages, and then get that information and then see who's actually visited your site. LinkedIn can grab that data, and they automatically will build this retargeting list for you with that. Now, you can look at other sources of data too. So YouTube, for example, is tied into the Google Ads network. Google Ads is great too. We're just talking about LinkedIn. But if you want to bring them into your LinkedIn retargeting list, then consider putting a call to action in your YouTube video, which sends them to your web page or landing page, even better, specifically targeted towards people who are watching that video. And then put the Insights tag on there, and suddenly you capture all the people who click through from the video to your landing page in the campaign. So you can look across platform. It's just a bit more long-winded to do. And likewise, you know, you probably have lots of different YouTube videos, so make sure you put UTM campaign markers on there. There's free tools online to really quickly make a URL. So rather than just like gather.com, I can be like gather.com /? Campaign equals this, source is that. I don't know exactly the format, but then you can really see what specific video they clicked on to get to your page if you don't have a landing page per video. So some good tricks there to make sure you get some good insight into what's happening, because the more visibility you've got, the more you can make smart decisions. So quick example, and credit to Session Media for this. They've got a great YouTube channel on all of this stuff. which you should check out. Ben is great. He runs the business, and so you should check them out. They're really smart, and they're good marketers. Before retargeting, we've got a bid here. You can see in the bottom here, LinkedIn's predicting between £6.17 and £16 and 5 pence for this one before we set up our retargeting list. So this was an ad they ran, a campaign rather they ran, and they got this information. Then they used their retargeted list, and you can see the bid from LinkedIn has dropped significantly. It's 33% lower, so it's a third lower. And it's the same content, same campaign, same everything, but using a different list with that retargeting data. So you can see the power that LinkedIn, thinking the higher click-through rate as possible, has on how successful and how likely you are to win the auction in LinkedIn. So it's great. So we've got our list. We created our list with great firmographic data. We've got this huge, enormous list. We're not just going to run a second retargeting campaign, because I said I don't want to make loads and loads of campaigns. What we're going to do is create a second list of our retargeting audience, and we're actually going to run both of them at the same time. But we're going to remove all the retargeting audience from list one automatically, and there's an option to do this in LinkedIn. You can run that for a year, I think, is the maximum time you can run the retargeting campaign. So if someone clicks on it January 1st, you can keep retargeting to that person for 365 days. The list automatically refreshes, so don't worry about it going stale. As long as you keep on adding to it by bringing the data from different sources, then it will keep going. And it will also keep removing people from your first touchpoint list, your list one, as you go as well. And there's a button, exclude. So if you hit exclude, there'll be an option to select your retargeting list, so you can remove that from your information. Super easy. And so LinkedIn does it pretty well. Google does it too. Meta does it too. So here's a picture. I think that's pointing at the wrong thing, to be honest, because that's negative keyword list. But imagine it says retargeting list. It does exist. Right. So LinkedIn Insight tags. Who here has used the LinkedIn Insight tag? Nod if you have. Yes, hands up. Yeah, okay. Yes, Sarah, good job. Top marks. So, where do you find it? If anyone's used Campaign Manager, it is not user-friendly, and they change it so often that even their own tutorials are out of date. So I went on to ours, and I took a screenshot, because I really tried to find a screenshot from Google Images, but there was nothing in date. So it's here. Go to data, go to sources, click it. It will probably be down here at first until you've activated it, but once you've activated it, it will appear up there. And when you go inside it, it will give you different options. You can say, I'm going to install it myself, I'm going to email it to a developer, someone who knows how to do it, or I'm going to use a tag manager, like a third-party tag manager, like Google Tag Manager. We'll talk about that in a second. So if you do the first option, it will just give you a bit of code to put on your website or your page, and that will then make the LinkedIn Insights tag active, and it will be looking at all the traffic that's going on that site and putting it in your retargeting list. Great, easy. If you don't want to code, or you don't have the ability to add that to your page, maybe you're using a reg platform, for example, and you don't have access to the source code because it's a third party, then you can use Tag Manager. So just ask them to put Tag Manager on there, and then you can add your Insight tag from the handy list in Tag Manager, and then as long as Tag Manager is active on your reg page, you will get all the same information, so it works well. And then in Tag Manager as well, you can do other cool stuff like set a trigger. So it doesn't just have to be a page view. It could be people who click a modal, or who click a box, or who start typing in a field, or watch a video. So there's lots of different actions you can tie to it on your page. So it can be good. And then, you can do good stuff with that. We finally got to emails. How are we doing on time, Marin? 5 minutes left. All right, I'm going to whiz through. There's going to be a lot of information, so we might not have a huge amount of time for questions, but there is a QR code at the end. You'll get these slides. Feel free to ask questions afterwards. DKIM, SPF, DMARC, what does it mean? Why are my emails not getting there? This hopefully will give you some insight into what happens behind the scenes when you send an email from your email marketing platform and it never arrives, and people say they didn't get it, or even an invite to your registration page or your platform. What's going on? So, how do I understand what's going on? I'm receiving them, so why are they not receiving them? So you can check this. And you don't have to have a lot of information to do it. So in Outlook, new Outlook, or old Outlook, but we all use new Outlook, right? I hope. Open your email. There's 3 dots up here in the corner of your Outlook. Maybe it looks different on a Mac, I don't know, probably. But you can go view message details, and then you get all of this stuff. Don't worry, you don't have to read it. So you can read it, and it will tell you all the stuff. But the easiest thing is to process it, and I'll show you how to do that really quickly in a second. Do use New Outlook. I know it's a pain. I know there's 2 on your computer. So many people I've seen use Classic still because they don't want to shift, because they might not work that well. It's actually pretty good these days. And all the new features are going on there. And it makes our lives as people who build platforms a lot easier, because we don't have to provide for all the old Outlook stuff with all these annoying rules, which makes it really complicated to do. So that if I can get everyone here onto New Outlook, by the end of the session, I'll have done a good job. That's my evangelism over. Gmail? Any Gmail users? Probably. Sarah, you're a Gmail user? No? Oh, okay. I am. You can do the same. You can view the information, press the Show Original button after you've pressed a triple dot on your email, and it will give you all of the details on the stuff that your email system is looking at and assessing as it gets this email through. So then you take that stuff, the message details we saw, you copy paste it, and you put it into our best friend, ChatGPT. And here's the prompt. Assess this email deliverability by spam score, DKIM, SPF, and DMARC. And all of the information comes out, and it will say, yeah, it's failed the SPF check, it's failed the DMARC check, it's failed DKIM, you should fire your platform because they're not doing their job properly. And also, by the way, the content of the email has a really high spam score, so that's why no one's getting it. So what is a spam score? Because that's a new term. Anyone know spam scores? Yeah, maybe some shaking heads. Spam scores are really important, and there's some really crazy rules that email platforms use to determine whether your email is spam or not. And I've got some of them here. This is not our naming, this is literally what they call. And so you'll read your email report and you will see all these terms like $1 million deal. If you mention large dollar amounts in your email, maybe it's the price of your event, that has a spam score associated with it because they think it might be a potential fraud. If you look at putting lots of exclamation marks, 2 or more together, that has a spam score associated. If you put a question mark and an exclamation mark, or lots of them, because you're really excited about the event you're putting on, or your product, that has a spam score. If you're doing caps lock, don't do caps lock, spam score. If you say you've won, you might have a competition, that seems innocent enough. No, that's got a spam score associated. Don't say you've won, say congratulations, you have succeeded in our competition. I don't know. But there's lots of different things that trigger spam scores, and you can see there's lots of points that you get. If you get more than 3, you're likely to start to see a drop in deliverability. Anything above 5 is instant fail. And you can see even a few of these rules broken will mean you completely fail. So make sure you are careful around the spam scores, etc. And also keep your list up to date, because if people are bouncing because they're old, they've not updated your list properly, then you're going to see your drop in deliverability. And do listen to people who say, please unsubscribe me, because otherwise they're going to report you and your reputation is going to go down. And there's so many clients who come to us and say, wow, our email's not delivering us, spam score is great, DMARC, DKIM, SPF is great. It's because people have reported them because they keep on using lists from 10 years ago. So keep your lists up to date. Marin, give me 5 minutes. Give me 2. 2.
Absolute maximum I can get.
All right, we're going to go so quick now. I've never talked so fast in my life. There's information on here on what these things are. You don't really need to know, but if you want to know, it's there, so you can look at it afterwards. And there's instructions on how to actually make sure your DKIM, DMARC, SPF is set up correctly. There's going to be a lot of people scanning this QR code, I think. And, part 5, sync all your LinkedIn ad data to HubSpot. We don't have time. Sorry, we can't do that section. But if you want to know about it, just give us a shout afterwards. Happy to share. As with everything, this is the mechanics of it. But remember, emotion drives attention, and that's what drives sales. So you can have the great fundamentals, the nuts and bolts all in place, but unless your message is compelling, no one's going to care in the first place. So make sure it's interesting and make sure it's exciting. That's a really key part of the formula. So congratulations, you've done all that. We've used these tools to make it. Session Media, again, shout out. They've got some great YouTube videos if you want to dig deeper. And we're actually doing a deep dive on AI later to give you some really useful prompts you can use day to day to get more information, do your events faster, save yourselves time, and have that half an hour of a day extra to go for lunch rather than doing it at your desk. So grab this thing. It will show a contact form. Just chuck your details in. We will send you the PSD. You don't have to buy anything. Don't worry. We'll just send it to you. We're nice people. But that's where it is. Thanks, Marion, for 2 minutes.
My pleasure, and I really appreciate you putting the QR code on there. I wanted to scan it myself, but I'm actually going to read you one question that we got from the audience.
Sure.
When you say to avoid caps locks in your email, what do you recommend for subject lines? No cap locks at all? Like,
yeah,
what is your
just
recommendation?
avoid all caps locks. It's just a blanket rule. It does, sadly, a lot of spammers use that, so they have to try and filter them as best they can. So caps locks are not good. They don't work well. Different fonts. A lot of people like to use different fonts and colors and things. I know it looks visually cool, but just keep it simple. Simplicity is key, and that's going to make sure that your deliverability is high, which is what's really important, right? So I would say that.
I love it. I have one question. I have a billion questions, but one particularly, and that is regarding the LinkedIn advertisements. Like a lot of people would not recommend running a campaign 365 right from the start. So especially if you get started, to do some A/B testing. What would you say is like a good, maybe a number in terms of budget that you should put into it, but more likely the length of a campaign in order to really test which campaigns, which target groups are the most efficient for your advertising?
That is a good question. I mean, start with video, I think. Your video has got the highest click-through rates of any kind of media on LinkedIn. If people pause on your video and watch 25% of it, you're going to capture information. So start with that because it's easy. It doesn't have to be like an amazing video. You could just have a stock footage of a skyline and some text on it. That's a video. It's not needed a production company to build it. You could be a selfie of you talking about your event. It doesn't have to be expensive, but do the video first and use that as your campaign because you're going to get better results. And you can start to build the audience and you can start to retarget from that. And I think that's a bit of a shortcut rather than going straight to like the copy that your copywriter has spent a long time doing, which is really cool. And there's this image and it's taken the designer 2 weeks to do it and no one clicks it. And you're like, why? But do yourselves a favor, start small, start with easy stuff, and then you can get more complicated as you go.
Love it. That's a great tip. Take it as we go, step by step. And step by step, we're building up the program as well. So I want to thank you, Nick, very much for providing us with the insights. If you haven't scanned the QR code yet, now is the time because we will be switching to the next session very shortly where we'll talk about Deloitte's approach to measuring experiential events, which is with Rob Curtis and Lauren Clark. I'm already looking forward to it. If you will be joining us for that one, feel free to grab a quick drink or take a walk. In about 5-6 minutes, we'll be back on stage. For those of you who are leaving us, make sure to leave your headphones back on the chair where you found them. I want to thank you very much for joining us. I want to thank you again, Nick, for sharing your valuable insights. And hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. We're just over there, by the way, next to Lead Friends.